Line of sight is never bent.
You haven't got a straight line of sight on a globe. It's all bent.
Oh, you dumbass. Are you not...
Dumbass, no. You haven't got a line of sight on a globe. I can make 3 references from your own side. Mr. Sensible, Craig, with an example of a hand in front of his stupid face that he thinks isn't where it's supposed to be because of atmosphere. That's what you are flying in the face of right now. And I'm going to absolutely rub Craig's stupid face in his claim, because when it comes to navigation, suddenly do you forget that your hand isn't where it's supposed to be, like Virus? You don't need to for me to humiliate Craig after a statement that all lines are considered straight always, like you've just made. That's just another opportunity for me to humiliate Craig. He thinks his hand isn't where it's supposed to be because the lines are bent, according to him.
Is measured flat, so I was trying to get him to go through the steps of how that works, and he can't do it.
Me? Craig said that. Nah, I never.
Would anybody on the panel? Would anybody on the panel like to go through the steps of how we measure the globe flat? Unless y'all don't claim that we measure the globe flat.
Yeah, sure. One statement: elevation angle measurements to Polaris. Done.
Okay, I tried that. I don't see where the flatness comes in.
Well, you can't get an angle unless it's flat. So if you say tried that, how did you get an angle?
I've done it many times.
My bad, it's only the first rebuttal to his nonsense. Immediate fundy muting from Virus. So you said you did it. Well, how did you do it other than with 2 straight lines? That's what an angle is. So you couldn't not have done it flat if you did it, liar.
Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know lines and planes were the exact same thing.
Like, where's the curve Earth coming into this? You're saying it couldn't be done that way when now you're detailing how it can only be done that way. There's no curve in these descriptions, Virus. Angles.
All I want to know is how you do it. And you said...
Just told you, with angles. Then you said I did it and I didn't manage to get it flat with that. Well, no, it could only be done flat with that because that's what an angle is. The second time.
All day, then don't worry about it.
Don't worry about what? Don't worry about what? Your loss.
All he's hearing is Charlie Brown, the teacher, talking right now. You know, he's not hearing what you're saying, Nathan.
I hear what he says just fine. Don't lie on me. I hear what he says just fine.
Do you want to respond to it then? You said you did do it. So if you did do angle measurements, then that's the second time that the rebuttals come and it's got talked over straight away because it's painful, right, Virus? Painful? Second time you've chanted straight through the devastating part of my, if you've done it, then you've measured a flat line along the base. That's what an angle is. Can't not be straight, can't be curved, it wouldn't be an angle.
Yeah, a line is not a plane, so deal with it.
No, but when you're doing celestial navigation, you're working your way around the plane and figuring out your position on a plane. That's what you're doing with angles, not curves.
Nope.
Do you mean nope? That's what an angle is. That's what you're doing.
Not at all.
Oh, really? Well, how do you measure a baseline for any method of triangulation if the surface is curved?
What baseline? What's the baseline?
The baseline for the angle for measurement of triangulation as detailed 25 seconds ago.
Okay, so the bottom line for an angle that you use your line of sight for, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Line of sight on a globe's bent. You've got atmosphere. What is it, no atmo day?
It's not.
It's not no atmo day, so what line of sight straight for a glober? You haven't got one, so you can't do this on a globe then because of atmosphere then.
Line of sight is never bent.
Well, yeah, it is on your globe model, never bent in reality. Okay, so all the people who told us to date that line of sight is always bent. So Mr. Sensible, Virus is in complete contradiction with your claim that it's never ever no atmo day, always bent line of sight. Virus is saying the complete opposite. Why? Well, because to get around the fact that he needs to measure an angle, he's got to assume, on his globe, that there's no atmosphere bending the light always. So it's no atmo day when you're doing this then, for your celestial navigation on a globe that hasn't yet got to the curved surface for the angle. You're just going to ignore all air for you to wangle it on a globe then?
Lie. Don't lie.
Yeah, Nathan.
Nobody's saying nothing about no atmos day. Nobody.
Sorry, if you said there's a straight line of sight, That's not the case on a globe because you always have atmosphere.
Line of sight is never bent.
Well, then there's no atmo on your model then, so it's no atmo on a sphere model day, or it's flat. Because on your globe belief, it's always bent without exception. I'll explain. Via Craig Fight the Flat Earth, who explains that when you put your hand up in front of your face, it isn't really where you think it is, because there's atmosphere bending the light between your hand and your eye. Always, in effect, sphere-shaped air, atmosphere, that's bending the light always. You're contradicting that globe belief because you need an angle now. Now, bearing in mind that you telling me about this angle isn't getting you any closer to a flat plane you need.
Don't try to change my claims.
My claim? Your claim? You said you went and did this. And I said, well, you did it on a flat plane then. And when you start explaining how you got two straight lines, you start describing how the line of sight's not bent, always straight. Well, that's complete contradiction to the globe faith that you've got atmosphere. Fourth time's a charm.
It's not.
What's not?
This is all a red herring away from the point that you don't have a 90 degree. Like, you yourself, the position of the GP and the zenith don't form a right triangle if you're standing on a globe. Like, there's no way around that point.
It don't make a planar triangle, no.
I was going to say that Virus was asking Nathan what baseline, and Nathan gave him the baseline that he claimed to have measured when he was doing elevation angles to Polaris, which would be thousands of miles in distance. And he decided to talk about line of sight.
Line of sight. Line of sight is always straight.
What baseline? What baseline?
Line of sight.
Virus? Line of sight is not a baseline.
Line of sight.
Line of sight. So me looking at something makes it an elevation angle, does it?
No, when you're looking at it through a sextant, you're using your line of sight to make
so I need more than just the line of sight then.
Just take the win. So Craig's wrong.
You're looking at the horizon and you're looking at a celestial body. That's straight lines that you need. That's the only straight lines that you need for using a sextant.
So Craig and Mr. Sensible, who say no straight lines ever, always atmosphere, line of sight, always, but they're wrong then.
Never heard of it.
So they're wrong then. That's a statement based on your statement that the opponents to us, Mr. Sensible and Craig, who say all lines on a globe always bent because of atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, refracting the line of sight, according to you, they are wrong. Just want to make that abundantly clear, regardless of whether you know who they are. I'm telling them, oi, Craig, when it comes to squaring the circle of celestial navigation, the argument takes us to a declaration that you're wrong, and Mr. Sensible's wrong, with your atmosphere, sphere-shaped air nonsense. Virus is completely contradicting you right now. Why? Well, because he needs a straight line for celestial navigation. So while Craig's telling his audience that putting your hand up in front of your face means you aren't seeing it where it really is because of atmosphere, you're denying that and making them very wrong, Virus. Don't care if you know them. I'm pointing out how wrong they must be for you to explain celestial navigation to us. Okay?
Here, don't bring them into this. They aren't here.
Oh, don't bring them into it. Don't bring them into it. Yo, Mr. Sensible, you fucking clown. If you need to do celestial navigation, you're going to need straight lines of sight through a sextant. We were just explained that by Virus, whilst trying to square the circle on a globe when needing straight, flat baselines to measure angles. He's talking about straight lines of sight. You stupid fucking idiot, Mr. Sensible. You hear how you're fucked when you tell us about how everything's all refracted in atmosphere, you stupid moron. And I'm being told by one of your compadres who also thinks the globe is a globe that I shouldn't bring you and fuckwit Craig into this. Oh, I'll definitely bring these two fucking retards into this, Virus. Because you're flying in the face of their claim that all light's always bent. We wouldn't expect to see geometric horizons because of atmosphere. The thing you're saying we can ignore because line of sights are straight, right, Virus? Tell me not to bring those two fucking clowns who say light's always bent, line of sight, that is. Tell me not to bring them into it again, so I can drag their stupid names right through the mud in the name of celestial navigation's need for a straight line of sight, Virus. Tell me not to bring their fucking idiot names up again. Go on. Tell me not to bring these two clowns, Craig and Mr. Sensible, up again. I'll throw SciManDan idiot name in there too. Virus, because you're throwing them all under the bus right now.
Out of here.
You're throwing them all under the bus then? May not know them, but you're happy to throw them under the bus, right? You haven't got a straight line of sight on a globe. It's all bent.
Oh, you dumbass. Are you not...
Dumbass, no. You haven't got a line of sight on a globe. I can make 3 references from your own side. Mr. Sensible, Craig, with an example of a hand in front of his stupid face that he thinks isn't where it's supposed to be because of atmosphere. That's what you are flying in the face of right now. And I'm going to absolutely rub Craig's stupid face in his claim, because when it comes to navigation, suddenly do you forget that your hand isn't where it's supposed to be, like Virus? Because he's telling me I shouldn't be bringing your name into this, Craig. And you can be damn sure I'll bring your name into it. And Mr. Sensible's. And SciManDan's, who all make it plain that atmosphere means no straight lines of sight ever. Now, if you're going to continue with this line of debate, I'm going to drag their stupid names through the mud as you do so. OK, Virus?
If you want to talk to them, you can talk to them. So.
Oh, I will. I'll talk to them on your behalf right now. Hello, Craig. My name's Nathan Oakley. When it comes to celestial navigation, I'm being told not to bring your name and the claim that your hand isn't where it's supposed to be up. But I will be. I'll be bringing your name up and talking to you directly, Craig, you stupid moron. Because when it comes to celestial navigation, your hand isn't where you think it is. You'll need a straight line of sight like Virus is needing right now. And hoping that I won't drag your stupid claim right through the mud as he uses a straight line of sight. Also you, SciManDan, you complete numpty, who's made it absolutely plain that we wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon where it would be because of the atmosphere, right, Dan? Well, what happens when you need a straight line of sight to the horizon like Virus needs? You gonna deny it? Or is a flat earther named Nathan Oakley gonna drag Dan's name through the mud? Because suddenly you're all gonna need a straight line of sight to the horizon, aren't you, Virus? So they're all wrong. Mr. Sensible also, who's made it absolutely abundantly plain that we will never, ever have a straight line of sight, Virus. So do you want to carry on telling us about this straight line that debunks Mr. Sensible, SciManDan, and Clown Show Craig? Off you go.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, I'll reiterate it. You've told me that in order to square the circle of acquiring an angle from the Earth we stand on for measurements in celestial navigation, you've made it abundantly clear that we always have a straight line of sight. Quote, Virus. I am now pointing out, as you're asking what I'm talking about, how stupid that makes SciManDan, Craig and Mr. Sensible look, given that they've made it absolutely abundantly clear that there's no straight lines of sight on a globe, ever. Do you understand what I'm talking about now? Because I'm happy to reiterate this for the rest of the show while you appeal to a straight line of sight your compadres Dan, Craig and Sensible say we haven't got on a globe you think you're on.
I don't.
You don't think we're on a globe? Welcome to Flat Earth. Lines of sight are just straight lines.
What? That don't make no sense either.
No, it don't make no sense if you're claiming your hand isn't where it's supposed to be, like Craig, or saying we'd never see straight lines of physical geometry like Mr. Sensible, or claiming that we wouldn't expect to see a physical geometric horizon like SciManDan because of atmosphere and no straight lines ever. You're right, it don't make no sense that you're appealing to them. You think you're on a globe, flying in the face of all these idiots I'm humiliating right now, thanks to you, Virus.
That makes sense. What you're saying doesn't make sense.
Oh, well, I'll make it a clearer, easier statement to digest for you. You are appealing to straight lines of sight when looking at stuff. Mr. Sensible, Virus, and Craig say that that is impossible because the line of sight is bent in atmosphere. Well, you're saying they're wrong because suddenly you need a straight line. Rufy also says we need a straight line to a geometric horizon now. So you and Rufy are humiliating Dan, Sensible, and Clown Show Craig. You want me to explain it again?
I don't
Do you
get
still
it.
not understand? I can explain it again if you want.
No, I still don't get it.
Oh, right, well, I'll explain it again. you needing a straight line of sight to do celestial navigation, even though you haven't got to a curved Earth bit yet, flies in the face of Craig, Dan, and Sensible, who are idiots claiming that light's bent and your hand isn't where you think it is because of the atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, oxymoron, air doesn't take the shape of a sphere, but they assume it does and assume your light is always bent because of it. You're telling me otherwise. Humiliating them.
Yeah,
Do you want to get back to your straight line?
Wasn't there a certain horizon line and a certain observation that we were asking, why isn't this horizon line where it should be measured on a globe? And what was your response to that? Why wasn't that horizon line where it was supposed to be again? I forget.
I don't know. I'm still trying to understand what Nathan was saying. I don't get it.
All right, he's asking a new question. When we asked 2020 to 2022 why the horizon wasn't where it's supposed to be on a globe, physically blocking boats and buildings with the maths of the Earth curve maths, we asked, why is it that it's not where it's supposed to be? Now, I'm absolutely unequivocally certain that you gave us the response of refraction. Now, maybe you'd like to lie about that so I can go back to one of those shows and trim out how you absolutely knew it was refracted back then, but now it's a straight line to it.
I hope you appreciate.
I hope you're stuttering like the bitch you are as I humiliate Craig, Mr. Sensible, and SciManDan, you stuttering clown.
I hope you appreciate that answer, Chocolate. There you go.
What answer?
I don't know. The one I was giving you to your question that you asked. I was giving you the answer to it. You asked the question, I gave the answer.
I didn't hear anything. Could you repeat?
Yeah, that was the answer, Chocolate, what you just heard.
Oh, nothing.
No,
okay.
that wasn't. Unless he actually heard the answer.
I think we should spend the next 10 minutes debating about whether or not you heard an answer that never came in regards to this, while I was spending the entirety of the time humiliating the fact that Craig, Mr. Sensible, and SciManDan have all declared that atmosphere means no straight lines of sight. You insisted on needing straight lines of sight to get around the fact that you need an angle taken from a plane. And suddenly you've got a straight line of sight to the horizon. Voila. Even though that same exact line to the horizon's been bent since 2020 on a globe. Maybe you've got amnesia, even though you've told us it's refracted on multiple times. Right, Varus?
I don't know what you're talking about. You lost.
And so maybe lie about it. Make a concise statement that you don't know about refraction so I can go and trim you out saying it.
I know about refraction. What about?
Oh, so when you said the line of the sight to the horizon was refracted back in the day, now it's straight. So double speaking around this problem then.
Oh, okay. If you don't...
Not okay, you're just double speaking around the problem you find yourself in. You need a straight line to get an angle. So you said always straight. But you seem to vaguely remember about how it used to be refracted.
Presenting light that's bent. That isn't
that's bent. I thought it was always straight. What bent light? It's always straight.
Listening.
I'm not listening because you're contradicting yourself. A moment ago, we had to accept the premise that all light always straight. Now suddenly you're talking about bent light. That doesn't really make sense. Why would you be talking about bent light if light is always straight?
Did you hear what I said?
While I was talking to you about how you're talking about bent light, maybe we should have a debate about what I'm listening to when you're talking as I talk.
Now that you wanted to...
Yeah, we will just have a debate about you talking while I'm talking. No, we won't do that. I'll just point out, hey, Craig, you stupid idiot. Yeah, he's got a line of sight that's bent now. Yeah, he's back in line with you now. Isn't that weird? A minute ago, we had to all understand that all lines of sight are always straight. Then I spent a prolonged period embarrassing you, Mr. Sensible, and SciManDan. And now he's back to talking about bent lines again. What, like bent in atmosphere, right, Virus?
Well, I'm talking, Nathan. Nathan, stop.
That's my name, bitch. Is it embarrassing, me pointing out that you're back to talking about bent lines now when you insisted that they were all straight?
Okay, back in the day when we was talking about refraction, what line is bent? What does that line represent?
So the line to the horizon that was bent that you claimed back then that is now insistent upon being straight. Maybe rumpus me. Maybe moan and debate for 10 minutes about how I'm interrupting you. Right, Boris? Now, mate, what are you going to premise this question about me explaining about your explanation about how light's always bent to explain the black swan when this discussion started with your insistence that it's straight and me embarrassing Craig, Mr. Sensible, and SciManDan as a result of you saying it's always straight?
Just answer the question.
What question? I'm not asked or answering or need to answer any questions. I'm taking the premise you started with. That would be to say that all lines are always considered straight. That was your statement. And then absolutely humiliating Craig, Mr. Sensible, SciManDan. The list could go on and on and on. And the list actually includes you, Virus. We've just got to the point where that list includes you, because back in the day when Refraction...
What was the bent line representation?
The bent line represent how big a teabagging you, Craig, Dan and Sensible have taken today. That's what Refraction represents, because now you need a straight line. So Refraction represents an absolute humiliation for you four fuckwits. That's what it represents.
That line didn't represent a teabag, so can you...
It represented being bent when you're insisting it needs to be straight for celestial navigation and acquisition of horizontal lines to the horizon. You need a straight line now. I mean, even though you need a straight line and you're justifying out all lines of sight are straight, why would you be doing that when you're needing to be justifying a curved ground that you haven't got to yet?
What did that line represent?
Bent failure?
Nope.
Yeah. Refraction, a.k.a. bent line, not a straight line of sight, represented how fucked you are. Now you need a straight line of sight.
No, the lines of sight were always straight. The bent lines back in the day...
Always straight? So why would Craig tell me that his hand isn't where it's supposed to be? Hey, you hear that, Craig? The lines were always straight, you stupid idiot. I mean, I'm only calling you a stupid idiot based on what Virus has just stated, that the lines of sight are always straight. Why on earth would Craig the idiot tell his audience that his hand isn't where it's supposed to be if they're always straight, Virus? Not listening? Yeah, I know you're not. You don't need to for me to humiliate Craig after a statement that all lines are considered straight always, like you've just made. That's just another opportunity for me to humiliate Craig. He thinks his hand isn't where it's supposed to be because the lines are bent, according to him.
Line of sight is straight.
Could I just...
Well then, Craig, Dan and Sensible's claim of atmosphere sphere-shaped air bent line of sight are wrong then, aren't they, Virus? So I'm going to take your statement and bitch slap Craig, Dan and Sensible with it. I hope you enjoy me taking your statement that all lines are always straight and making a humiliation out of Craig's statements about his hand not being where it is. Yeah, I hope you appreciate that. I do.
It's just your ignorance. I don't mind.
Oh, sorry, you're just going to ad hom me. Is this the end of your time here? One more ad hom and you get kicked out? I'm humiliating them based on claims they've made that you're contradicting. I'm not ad homming anybody.
What ad hom? What ad hom?
Sorry, it's telling me I don't understand. I understand a contradiction when I hear one. I understand you telling me that the lines of sight are always straight and then juxtaposing that with SciManDan, Craig Fight the Flat Earth and Mr. Sensible's claim that they are not ever straight because of atmosphere, to the point where your hand isn't where you think it is because of the bent light in the air. That's their claim that you are now embarrassing them with.
Actually, it's not. It's just your misunderstanding.
Oh, it's just that stuttering ad hom that you didn't do. Bye-bye, end of your time here.
Hold on a second. Do you not understand that refracted lines are straight?
Can you define refracted, please? What does refracted mean?
Bent, broken.
Deviated from straight?
Yes, exactly.
So you're saying a line that is deviated from straight is in fact straight if you're a fundy globe believer whose hand isn't where it's supposed to be, like Craig, but need it to be straight if you're looking at the horizon to get a horizontal measurement?
Yeah, it's sort of like the equivalent of Bendy's Onal with Bev. Yeah, that's kind of where they're at.